Gillette's controversial new ad is raising questions about what masculinity means in the Me Too era. The ad addresses issues including bullying, sexual harassment, and toxic masculinity.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity, for sure.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it?
The ad already has nearly 20 million views on YouTube, and the reaction is divided. The video got more than 500,000 likes compared to nearly 1 million dislikes. Ted Bunch is the co-founder of the advocacy group A Call to Men, which aims to shift attitudes and behaviors against women and marginalized groups. And Lisa Damour is a psychologist and CBS News contributor. Her upcoming book is called Under Pressure, Confronting the Epidemic of Stress and Anxiety in Girls. Good morning.
Good morning.
To you
Good
both.
Morning.
So, Ted, what do you make of the ad and the backlash to it?
Well, we support the ad. A Call to Men's been in existence for 16 years, and this ad is very much in line with the work that we do. And I think what's misunderstood by the backlash is that this is not an indictment on manhood. It's actually an invitation to men to be different, to be better, and don't all of us want to be better?
Yes.
So I think the backlash has a lot to do with, it also challenges, in this post-Me Too era, men have been challenged to reflect. To challenge our privilege, our entitlements, to look at how we impact other people. And that's what this ad does also. And the fact of the matter is, men do talk over women in boardrooms. Men are sexually harassing at rampant rates. It doesn't speak to all the violence that men perpetrate toward women either. But what's important to say when we talk about violence in particular is that while the overwhelming majority of violence against women and girls is men's violence, the overwhelming majority of men are not violent, but we're silent about those that are, and that's as much of the problem. So
that's why that line in there, men need to hold other men accountable. So Lisa, as a psychologist, what is the science, what does the research tell us about notions of masculinity?
Well, it tells us a lot of different things. One is that being a man in this culture comes with an extra measure of power, right? So then this question about what to do with that power comes up. So to go off of what Ted was saying, men can either use that power to be violent or sexist, or they can use that power to stick up for people who have less power, to be positive leaders. In terms of the science of extremes of masculinity, ultra macho behavior, it turns out that is bad both for mental health and physical health. In terms of mental health, it is harmful to be denied the full range of human emotional experience. Everybody is sad. Everybody gets scared. If you're not allowed those feelings, they come out sideways.
Is it possible, do you think, both of you, to teach toughness without toxicity?
Absolutely. I think that there's a lot to be said, both for women and for men, to find the ways that they can stand up for themselves and others in ways that are respectful and safe.
And where does it start? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it starts with our collective socialization of manhood, how we pass down from one generation to the other these lessons of manhood. And we have this concept that addresses the collective socialization of manhood called the man box. It's supposed to be tough. Don't ask for help. Don't show fear.
Show no emotion.
Show no emotion
Except
for anger. And anger is actually a secondary emotion. We're feeling sadness and pain, but we don't get to show that. We have to bring it up through anger, because when we do show that, we're ridiculed as that little boy. When we tell that little boy to stop crying, we're also telling him to stop feeling. So as we grow, this man box also teaches us that women and girls have less value than men and boys, that women are the property of men, that women and girls are sexual objects. That's our collective socialization. We're all taught that on some level. It doesn't mean we act out on it in any negative way, all of us, but some of us do. So when we talk about even the backlash, as you mentioned, this is the first generation of men being held accountable for something men have always gotten away with.
Yes.
It's a paradigm shift. We haven't figured it out. We don't know how to navigate it yet. So we want to push back, and how we often push back is by kind of blaming women for what's going on for men, whether it's sexual harassment in the workplace. Oh, I'm not going to have a closed-door meeting with a woman, as if when doors were closed, women were doing things that were inappropriate. It was men who were doing those things. So we switch up.
Lisa, where do young men now, though, learn about masculinity? Because it's different than an older generation of men, which is part of what some of the complexity of this conversation is about.
So I think it starts with cueing from the culture. They see what's on the media, they see what's around them. But a huge amount of it comes from how they police one another. To be a boy at school is to be part of a very heavily policing of not acting like a girl. It's not so much about being a certain kind of boy, it's not being a girl. And then those boys decide what girl-like behavior might be. So it might be crying, it might be taking school seriously, it might be being into arts. Anything that gets dubbed girlish is then off the table. So part of how we need to intervene is to talk with young boys about their policing of one another, but in a way that doesn't invite a defensive response. I think that part of how we need to enter into this entire conversation is to not make people feel under attack, because then you can't be part of the
I
conversation.
almost think you should ban the phrase "boys will be boys" because that seems to give them a pass, or you're acting like a girl, which is quite often interpreted as a negative thing.
It's a code for a naughty.
But
Yeah.
it sounds also like what you're saying is to ban toxic masculinity, which suggests there's something inherently in being a man that makes you toxic.
I think that is a very charged term, and as a psychologist, once you throw something like that down, it is very hard to engage the people you need to engage in a conversation.
And kids are receptive at a very early age.
And we're not toxic as men. You know, we've learned some behaviors that are harmful not only to women and children, but to men and boys and those who don't conform to gender at all. So it's not that we're toxic.
That's
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Yeah,
Good
you know what?
conversation.
And I say kudos to Gillette for starting this conversation.
I
Thank
do
you guys.
too. I didn't understand the backlash, but I'm in the minority on that. Thank you both.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
Thanks.